Hi QA folks, in this video let's talk about what is TDD and BDD. So TDD, it stands for test-driven development. It's a software development methodology, or basically some coding concept, where developers write automated tests or unit tests before they write the actual functionality code. And you will understand what it means in the example below. So basically, TDD consists of the cycle, three-step cycle. First one, write a test, watch it fail. Before you write any actual code, you need to write your test to see that it failed. Second step, write just enough code to pass the test. And third step, refactoring, improve the code without changing its behavior. So this is an example. Let's say you will need to implement function multiply by 2. And you don't have the actual implementation yet. You write a test and watch it fail. So for example, this example, you are calling this function by passing 2 as a parameter, and you're expecting that based on the expected outcome, it should return 4. First time, we don't have real implementation when you run it first time, this test. It will return -1. So this test will fail, it will be red. Because it will expect 4, -1 will be returned, so it will be failed, right? Now the next step is write just enough code to pass the test. So basically on this step, developers are implementing their function that they're going to test, their function, their functionality. Of course, this is just a trivial example with really simple function, but you should get the idea. So here you see on this second step, the implementation of the function is already added. So it will take the parameters, the argument, multiply it by 2 and return. So when you run it second time, it's the same test, hasn't been changed, you see. Expect multiply by 2 with 2 should return 4. When you run it on this step, it will be green, it will pass, because we already have implementation of the function. And the third step is to refactor, if applicable, to improve the code without changing its behavior. Again, the same test, the same entry parameter and expected output parameter value. And in this particular case, there is nothing really to improve, so just for the sake of example. Okay, so this is what TDD is, and it's mostly used by developers, or should be used by developers, not by test automation engineers. Because it's kind of what we really do, we usually automate our tests, meaning our manual actions that we are going to repeat again and again. And usually if the functionality is not implemented, it's kind of hard to even to write a manual test scenario, because we don't know, and especially to automate it, because we don't know which locators will be used and so on and so on and so on. So usually it's being used by and should be used by developers as a way of writing their unit tests. Again, if the company wants to adopt TDD. And by the way, in my many years of experience, I have never seen any company who implemented it. I'm pretty sure there are some, but that's not what companies usually do. Now, what is BDD? BDD actually it's the next phase of development of TDD methodology, in which so all the principles are the same, but how the test is written is different. So the test is viewed not as a testing some code function, but as a business requirement for functionality. And tests are usually written using Gherkin notation, given when the notation in a kind of human readable way. This is an example of a test written in BDD in Gherkin notation. So name, wrong password. When I type something in email input and I type some wrong password and password input and I click on enter, then I should see email or password is incorrect message. This is the test written in BDD, in Gherkin notation. The same approach. You will write the test first, watch it fail, implement functionality, watch it pass, and then refactor the implementation of the functionality itself if needed. And just as an additional point, what is the difference between BDD and keyword-driven test automation? BDD, like TDD, is a coding concept when the tests are written before the code is written. So basically it's approach for developers, not for test automation engineers. And keyword-driven development is a style of test automation, which you will be, when you will be implemented some steps like this is why it's called keyword-driven. You will be implemented keyword that stands behind each of this step, again written in Gherkin notation. And tests are usually written in test automation here after the functionality is ready, not before. So that's the difference. BDD and TDD for developers, and keyword-driven test automation is for us test automation engineers. I hope it makes sense and give you a better idea of what it is. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.